Well, today I have a treat for you guys. Today I'm going to share my full story, my background. A lot of people come across this YouTube channel and the video catches their attention. They watch it and they start watching the channel, but they don't really know much about me. So I'm even going to sit down for today's video and just kind of talk with you guys and tell you kind of my whole story and kind of, what I came from and my whole situation. And I think it's a story that inspires a lot of people, the people that do know it, which is like a very small fraction of my YouTube channel, 150,000 plus subscribers. A very small fraction of people actually know the whole true story about, how I came up and whatnot. So I want to enjoy, just share this with you guys. Most of what I'm going to talk about today is going to be, after age 18, let's put it that way, and kind of, what's led up to this point. Just a little background on where I'm at right now in life. I have two wonderful children, both boys. One's 3 years old, one's about 7 months old. I'm married to my lovely wife, and we live in Las Vegas. So that's kind of like my background. The YouTube channel, it's kind of blown up over the past year. I started this YouTube channel in 2016, and the success of it has been phenomenal. And I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. Obviously, on the YouTube channel, we talk mostly about stock market and entrepreneurship and whatnot. So let's get into everything. Okay, so my childhood, I came into, this world as basically, someone that was on the government program in the United States of America. Okay, my family was on food stamps. I was born in a government hospital and government healthcare, all that type of stuff. Born in a really bad neighborhood. That's where I lived for the first 12 years of my life. And I got to see that side of the world, which is a very poor life and whatnot. When I was around, I think I was around 6 or 7 years old, my dad decided to start his own business. Okay, so his own pool business. Before that, he was in and out of jobs, like crap jobs, like, working at the car dealership and stuff like that. He tells me stories about, they were so broke at that time. This one time he went to Burger King and bought a Whopper. And while he put the Whopper down to go talk to a customer, and when he came back, one of the other employees actually ate it. That's how, that's just sad. That's just a sad story. I don't know why that story sticks with me. It's just sad. It's like a Whopper, really? And another employee of the dealership was doing that bad in life that they had to steal a Whopper from you? Like that's just, it's so sad to me. But anyways, that's the type of life, he was in and whatnot. And that's what I grew up in until I was around 12 years old. And then we moved to a middle-class neighborhood. My dad got his business established and whatnot. My mom had started her own business and house cleaning and whatnot. My dad had his pool business, which was pool cleaning. We lived in Arizona and whatnot. So I moved to a middle-class neighborhood, and that was kind of my life. Never got good grades in high school. I was a horrible student, like, D student, C student. I think I graduated high school with a 2.2 GPA, which is garbage, okay? Absolute garbage. I was horrible at school, never paid attention. I was more interested in paying attention to girls and whatnot and football at that time than what I was, willing to pay attention to actual classes and whatnot. So that was kind of my life. And then, I graduate from high school, and lucky enough, I kind of got into track because my best friend and the girl I was dating at that time, they were into track. So that kind of led me to at least go to community college, because it was obvious I couldn't go to university. My parents couldn't afford it. It was like going into the recession. This was like, I graduated in 2008. So you can imagine the economy was going into shambles. My parents didn't have money to pay for college. And at the same time, I didn't deserve to go to college. I was a garbage high school student. Why should I have, gone to university or whatever? So what I found is I got a job that summer, and the coach was interested in, having me run for the team. So I went and, tried out for the team and whatnot. And by the end of the second semester, I actually got a scholarship for track, which paid for half of my tuition, books and whatnot, which was incredible because I was garbage runner at first. I was a sprinter, 200-meter sprinter, and I was horrible at first. I got to a level, trained my butt off, and just did, crazy exercises even after practice and whatnot. Put my body through hell. I would like throw up many times a week. Anyways, that's a track story. But that led me to community college. And in community college, a lot of times on this channel, I've spoken down about college, and it's mainly because of the cost of what college ends up costing you down, $30,000. You hear the stories all the time. People $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 plus in debt because they went to college and whatnot, and then they don't even have a good job. So, I definitely have some hatred toward college, but at the same time, that community college, I would look at it in my life as a positive experience. I had a phenomenal accounting teacher who really taught me, how to read income statements, balance sheets, cash flows, all that type of stuff. And that was phenomenal. He really inspired me to start looking into investing, which is a very, very important thing. This is like a very important part of the story. This accounting teacher who I wish I could remember his name. I cannot, unfortunately, but he was phenomenal. And he got us kind of into investing. Now, he was like a gold investor, okay? Gold and silver and whatnot. And at that time, he was preaching that because we were going through a recession. This is like 2009 at this point. You know, everything's in shambles. But he was like gold. He was just like preach, you know, be invested. Like, you know, you need to become an investor in something, all right? And he was specifically always preaching gold and silver and whatnot. But anyway, so you know, he really kind of like got my brain going that way. And he would show us like compounding the like calculators and whatnot and compounding charts. And if you had, $10, invested and you got this percent of return, how much would that actually add up to, 20 years from now or 30 years from now? And you could see the numbers. And I was like, wow, that $10 turns into this number, 30 years from now, if you get this percent in return. Wow, if you have, $10,000 or $100,000 and you get a 10% return and, 30 years from now, that's going to be this. That like opened up my mind to investing and it really sparked me. So I started looking in the stock market because I was like looking around and I was like a saver of money, which I didn't have much money at that time. I might have had a few $100 or $1,000 or whatever. And I was looking around and I'm like, what can I invest my little bit of money in? I was looking at like, well, I could do like savings accounts. You don't get any money, especially at that time. Interest rates were like at 0 or whatever. You weren't getting any money on that. CD accounts, you weren't getting any money on that. Real estate, I didn't have any money to invest in real estate. What are they going to care about my $500? That's not going to buy a property. Banks weren't loaning money. Plus, who would loan a bank to a 19-year-old who knows nothing? Like, give me a break. So stock market was the only thing really out there that I was like, this, I could invest small amounts of capital and get great gains. And I was really into business. I started studying it and whatnot. And that was kind of where I went from there, okay? And I started kind of like slowly investing, even, throughout college and whatnot. And then I got to be 20 years old. And I was trying to work my way up at Walgreens. So I was like a basic worker working for minimum wage. Before that, I was working, minimum wage at Einstein Bagels. I think Walgreens ended up hiring me at technically like $8.25. I worked in the photo department. And so I'm working in the photo department at Walgreens and I'm like, I got to, start making more money. I'm kind of getting sick of school. I don't see myself going to university. I was getting phenomenal grades, by the way. Like my business classes, I got almost a 4.0, which is crazy because high school, I get a 2.2 GPA. And then I go to college and my business classes, I get like almost a 4.0, like it was insane. So, but at the same time, I didn't really want to go to university. I didn't see myself potentially really going that route. So I thought maybe I'd try to get a job, a job at Walgreens as far as an assistant manager, work my way up. And at Walgreens, unfortunately, there was like no like promotions at that time because we were going through the recession. Walgreens was cutting back more than anything. And so they weren't promoting people really up the ranks as assistant managers and whatnot. So I had a choice. I was like, I can stay at Walgreens, keep making, I guess a little bit above minimum wage or whatever. I was making $8.25 or $8.75 or whatever. I can keep doing that, or I can try to search for something else. So I was gassing up one day at a company named Kwik Trip, QT, which is in Arizona, there and a few other states and whatnot. And I saw they had a sign out there and it said they were hiring for assistant managers and they started at nearly $40,000 a year. And I was like, whoa, like that's like when you're making what I was making and when you had, as little as I had at that time, like that's like a lot of money. I was driving this 2004 Hyundai Elantra, piece of crap car. It was like, had 160,000 miles on it or whatever. And I'm like, $40,000 seemed like all the money in the world at that time. And I applied for Kwik Trip. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I applied for Kwik Trip, QT. And sure enough, the day later, I got a call, by the time I woke up that morning, and I got a call and, a voicemail there, and it was said, a lady said, come down and we want you to do something, I don't know, some type of test or whatever. And then if you pass that test, you get an interview or whatever. And so I went and did those tests and I ended up getting an interview and, did the drug test and whatever, and I got the job. And I started working at Kwik Trip as like an overnight assistant manager, which is like their entry level to, become an assistant manager. And that time I had no management experience at all. I never managed employees or whatever. I knew a lot about retail and I was already, so into stocks and whatnot that I could kind of like speak on a much higher level than what my age was. So it made me seem like I was very experienced or just like higher caliber person. So they ended up hiring me, and also they like to hire, people that smile a lot and, or cheerful and got energy and that type of stuff. So I fit that mold. So I get this job at Kwik Trip, and that I really started accelerating, investing, because when I got a job at Kwik Trip, I don't know, I might have had maybe a couple $1,000s, at stocks at that particular time. That's about all I had. And then at Kwik Trip though, and I was still living with my parents at that time. I was like 20, 21 years old. I was making, somewhere around, I would say, say $600, $700 a week, which once again, when you're living with your parents, you're making that money and you got very low expenses, and my car was paid because, like I said, I was driving that piece of crap Hyundai Elantra that was I bought for like $3,000 or whatever. Like when your expenses are that low, like you can just funnel money like crazy in your account. So I lived with my parents for like another 7 months, then ended up moving out when I was 21 years old. The summer of me being 21 years old, I moved out of my parents' house, moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, and got promoted to a better store at Kwik Trip, which was very high bonusing. And so even though, you know, my expenses obviously went up because now I'm paying rent at a nice, you know, I had a nice, you know, 1-bedroom apartment, I had granite countertops and all this stuff. I felt good. That was a good feeling. Like you move out of your parents' house, and I moved to a really nice apartment. So, you know, that was a good feeling. And I get promoted to a better store, start making like 50,000+ a year. I meet my, well, now my wife at that particular store. We start dating and whatnot. She ends up moving in, which actually, you know, accelerated my investing abilities even more, because then she started helping out paying some of the bills, and then she got a job at Kwik Trip. You know, well, she already had a job at Kwik Trip, but she got like promoted at Kwik Trip to like a higher position as an assistant manager and whatnot. So the two of us, we started making like close to $100,000 a year, sometimes even more than $100,000 a year combined. And at that time, we had no kids or anything, so we were both able to invest money like crazy. Okay, so fast forward now, we move out to Charlotte, North Carolina. We helped Kwik Trip expand out there. We were selected to help the company expand and whatnot. I was really pushing for that, you know, Kwik Trip. You know, I still hadn't been with the company for that long, and usually Kwik Trip likes to move super experienced employees out there, but I kind of really kept on them, you know, oh, you know, when are we going to move out there? And just kept, you know, checking on and whatnot. And finally, I think it was Thanksgiving Day or it was sometime around the holidays, but they gave us the call and said, you know, oh, you're going to move out there in February and whatnot. So we moved out to the Carolinas. You know, we're doing great. We both got promoted out there and whatnot. And next thing you know, I'm 24 years old. I got $200,000 in my stock market accounts, because throughout all this time, not only am I funneling money, but I'm getting insane gains. I had so many successful stocks. Monster Energy, which is a name I picked up on while working at Kwik Trip, because we would sell like insane amounts of Monster Energy. So I got to catch that whole trend, invest in Monster Energy. A company named Cabela's, who is like a hunting outdoor retailer and whatnot. I saw the gun boom coming before other people saw the gun boom coming. Basically, I understood that Obama was probably going to get reelected. He come across as anti-guns, okay, and that just really scared a lot of people. And so I knew that, you know, I understand psychology. That's a lot of what I studied in college. Other than business, I studied a lot of psychology. I understand the psychology of humans. Humans are very easy to understand. So, meaning, you know, if you got a president who's maybe anti-gun, or at least comes across as anti-gun, and he's, you know, saying this, and then the NRA saying, you guys need to go buy guns, they're trying to take our guns and whatnot, what are people going to go out and do? They're going to go buy guns like crazy. And gun sales went through the roof, and Cabela's was my biggest investment. So, you know, it was my most successful investment I think I still have had to this day, because it was by far my biggest investment. And that I started investing in that stock when it was like $20 or 20-something dollars, and next thing you know, it was a $60, $70 stock, okay, because of the gun boom. Trinity Industries, I saw the fracking, you know, boom coming. That was probably my earliest super successful investment, because they made rail cars and things like that for oil transportation and whatnot. Fracking out in North Dakota started blowing up. Trinity Industries, you know, business just went through the roof. You know, tons of other, you know, successful investments I had throughout time. Those are like the three that always kind of come to my mind and whatnot. So I have $200,000, and at this point, I'd done so well in the stock market. I was kind of like, I think I can just live off this now and just kind of like, you know, I don't know, just invest for the rest of my life or whatever, you know, because expenses were fairly low. My wife had a good chunk of change as well, because she had been investing, and I had her mirroring all the stocks I was in. So all the gains I was getting, she was also getting. So we both had very high accounts. So I left Kwik Trip. I was just kind of done. I was just done with the workplace. I was beaten down. You know, I'd worked for there almost 4 years, and you know, battled, you know, for promotions. And and I did certainly get promoted and got great stores and the busiest stores and all that stuff, but it wasn't enough for me. Like I still felt like I had a ceiling over my head that I kept bumping my head against. So, you know, it just wasn't enough. So anyways, I just kind of leave work. I want to enjoy the first year of my son being born. My son's born and whatnot. And that was great. Now, 2015 comes along. I really go off the rails. I get scared that, you know, this isn't enough money. Maybe I shouldn't have left Kwik Trip. I start getting greedy. I start doing some things I knew I should never do. Margin trading. I start short-term trading, things like that. I lose $75,000 of my own money. my own personal money that year, and I lost my wife over $25,000. We lost $100,000 combined in 1 year, in 2015, and technically we lost in less than the year actually. And there's a lot of money to lose. I mean, that was just, you know, crazy. I just went way off the rails, and I just started doing stuff that never made me successful. The successful Jeremy is when Jeremy is investing for the long-term focus, long-term on companies, not short-term stuff, not margin, you know, which margin means to invest money that's not even yours, actually taking out debt to invest extra money. So I started doing that. Horrible decision. I knew I should never do it, and I did it, and it was a bad decision, and I paid the price for it. I paid the price. So then I end up, you know, being like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do now? Like, obviously now my accounts are way down because I lost $75,000. It doesn't take a magician. Plus I was taking out money to pay the bills because I wasn't working at that time. I was just chilling. I wasn't working or doing anything. So I'm paying all these bills. My wife is too and whatnot. So needless to say, I had to do something. So I'm like, I want to start a business. So I started looking at all these different businesses. I thought about starting a perfume company. I thought about starting a business where I have manufacturers in China make big, huge, like wooden cutting boards and whatnot, like really big, elaborate ones and stuff like that. I had that business idea, you know, the perfume company. Oh gosh, I had some other ideas and whatnot. I think an athletic wear company. I had a lot of different ideas. And what I ended up deciding on was a real estate marketing company, okay? Being a photographer, videographer, which I never was into photography or videography in my life, but I just started this business, you know, and I was garbage at first, you know, I was just contacting realtors and whatnot, trying to take photos for homes that are going up for sale and whatnot. And I started this business, and the first year was horrible. The first year was absolutely horrible. And now we're going into 2016. I start the YouTube channel because sometimes I would, you know, email customers and whatnot, and then I would be like chilling at the house, and then you're like, okay, what am I going to do? And I was like, I could help people out, like understand more stuff about personal finance and you know, stock market and whatnot. So I just start recording videos, just kind of like messing around type stuff. Then I started taking YouTube serious in that spring of that year. Start building the channel more. Start building my real estate marketing company more. 2017 rolls around. I keep building my real estate marketing company much bigger. Now the real estate marketing company is now starting to really roll, okay? And the YouTube's starting to roll. I'm still not making a lot of money from YouTube, but I am starting to make some money from YouTube. But real estate marketing company was still like paying all the bills for my kids and my wife and all, you know, all of us and whatnot. That was what's keeping the roof over our head at that time. So at the same time, I have a lot of successful investments, but I have one investment that was really bad. And it's a company named GoPro. It's this company that I invested in. It was an unprofitable company. I never invested in unprofitable companies, but I decided to take a chance on this company named GoPro, and they bit me absolutely. I should have never done that. I never invest in unprofitable companies. Like all the successful I had, those were all in super profitable companies. And then I invested in this company that's unprofitable, and I lost a lot of money in that one. Nothing even remotely close to what I lost in 2015, but I still lost a lot of money in that stock. And that was a fun thing to deal with the channel, because I would make videos about GoPro all the time and whatnot. And it was entertainment at the end of the day. So, you know, it is what it is. And then, you know, but the YouTube's still building. You know, people were like, oh man, if GoPro goes south, you know, your channel's going to go south. Well, no, the channel just kept going up and up and up and up. And, you know, the real estate marketing business was going good, and I was trying to manage both of them, and it was so much. So going into 2018, this past year, I decided to just focus on YouTube solely. Now, a big thing I missed was in April of 2017, I launched a book, okay? I spent a few months like writing this book, and in April 2017, I launched my stock market investing book, which basically goes into everything I look for in an investment. Now I actually have that in a course form. It's linked in the description. You don't have to buy it or anything. I'm just saying if you're interested in it, it's down there. So I do that, but the book was key. The book was key because it was like, you know, I could actually make some money on YouTube. You know, I put all this time into making videos and editing and all this stuff, and AdSense was like nothing at that time, especially, right? And so the book sales started coming in. I think we did like $2,000 in like the first weekend or whatever. And remember, my channel was way smaller than it is now, okay? Way smaller. I might have had 30,000 subscribers or 20,000 or whatever. And I think we did $2,000 in book sales the opening weekend. That was just like huge for my confidence and huge for the fact that, you know, maybe I can make money off YouTube. It's not just like something that I'm putting all this time into and there's really no payout for me, you know. And so going into 2018, you know, I start my stock market membership group, and I start selling my course and whatnot. on YouTube. It was obvious that I could make it on YouTube, like just being on YouTube solely full time and then just focusing on investing. And that's what I've done. And so I let the whole real estate marketing company go, which was a company that was bringing in several $1,000s per month in profit and whatnot. So I just let that go because the YouTube opportunity is just so much bigger for me. So that brings us up to today. And, you know, it's a crazy story. And, you know, it's crazy because, you know, it wasn't that long ago I was a minimum wage worker, okay? It wasn't that long ago I was working overnights at Kwik Trip, okay? You know, there's a few key things in this whole story. One is that accounting teacher. You know, I think he was key in my life, like just his perspective and just showing me the compounding calculators and just preaching about investing and just sparking my ideas, like to look for something. I think that was so key in my life. Obviously, you can look at childhood stuff and see my dad be an entrepreneur and whatnot and start a business, you know, from nothing and whatnot and kind of grow it to support the family. Like that was big in my life. Obviously, also, you know, launching my book was key. You know, there's a lot of things in there that's, you know, gotten us to this day when I'm 28 years old, and you know, it's crazy. That's all I'm going to say. You know, and it's not like I didn't expect to be in this position because I've always, you know, I've always had, you know, confidence deep down inside that I could do anything, and especially financially. Like I know, like if you took everything away from me as far as like the YouTube channel, my course sales, my membership group, if you took, you know, all the businesses, the money, you know, I still would have confidence that I could go out there and create some other business and make a ton of money on it. You know what I mean? Like I just know marketing, I just know business, I just know strategy, I know humans, I know psychology, and so even if it all got taken away, like I'm gonna go start some other business over here. I'm gonna see this little trend here. I'm gonna trend spot because that's part of what investing is. I trend spot and I look for that. But stock market investing, that's a huge part of the story because that's really what propelled me. Because guess what? If it wasn't for the stock market, do I ever have the initiatives to start funneling so much money in my accounts and things like that? Probably not. It was the stock market and the hope that I could grow it over time that got me to start funneling money in those accounts. And then I grew that money exponentially. And then I get to $200,000 before I was even age 25, which was like, you know, crazy when you come from nothing. When you come from nothing, I mean, if you had a lot of money already and you go to 200,000, big deal. But when you go from, you know, you're 19, 20 years old and you got, you know, a few $100s and maybe $1,000 and you got 200,000 before you're 25, like that's crazy. And that's all possible because of the stock market. And you can look at the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is mostly, you know, stock market's the main part of the channel. Okay, yeah, we talk entrepreneurship and personal finance, but that's just part of the channel. The main part of the channel is stock market. So I really owe my financial success mostly the stock market at the end of the day, guys. The things that, you know, the stock market can do for you and investing can do for you, making your money into money, it's life-changing stuff, man, because it's going to be able to change your lifestyle and you'll be able to do things like you never thought possible and whatnot. But you gotta avoid the pitfalls. That's the big thing. Like you can't mess around with margin. Don't mess around with short-term trading. Don't mess around with unprofitable companies. Stay away from those type of things. I know they're alluring and I know they're exciting, and spec stocks and things like that, penny stocks. Oh, that's exciting. Maybe I would make a ton of money on this. That's exciting, but I'm telling you, you know, stick the course, spot trends, you know, look at the income statements, the balance sheets, understand where industries are going, understand management teams, focus on profitable businesses, focus on businesses that are expected to grow in the future. And, you know, it might seem boring until 5, 10, 20 years go down the road and your accounts are, you know, massive. And then you're like, oh, this isn't so boring after all. So anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I just want to share kind of my whole story with you guys and whatnot, so you can kind of understand who I am, because not everybody, you know, really knows my background. They might see me on these videos and, you know, I talk about the stock market or business or whatever, but they don't really know my whole background and whatnot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, thanks so much for being here. I enjoyed doing this. So I hope to do it for a long time into the future. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.